Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Montalvo. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. We're here with the Writing to Future authors and illustrators, and we're down here for the award ceremony to get quite a few interviews done while we're here. There's a lot of talent down here. For I know we have quite a few publishers who listen to the network. We have a lot of other people that are interested in reading, writing, I should say. And for my friends who are out there looking help with the illiteracy thing, like in New Orleans and Mississippi, we're trying to get a program where we're buying books and giving them to the lower class schools and the worst neighborhoods so that we can help them develop to read. Because once you get into one of these books, it's actually fun to read. There's 12 different stories in there. There's a few other things besides that. There's a lot of good stories that you can go to. It's not just one boring story or one good story. There's just lots of them in there. You can read through them. You can go back and choose the ones you like better to read those as well. But it's enjoyable to read. There, volume 37, right? Volume 37. So,
Sure.
Trent Walters, he's in volume 37. First time winner? Y'all have time? I always ask.
I don't know. Oh, you mean
First time? How many times did you win the first time you submitted?
No.
It's
Not at all.
rare on the authors, I gotta say. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, no. This is I don't know how many times, but a lot.
No, that's good that you kept it up there. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and what made you decide you want to write?
I think when I was a kid, there was a teacher that was encouraged me. So
That's a good teacher.
yeah.
I was forced when I was in private school to read every classic there was. We did a classic a week. I wanted to kill them until about the second year. Then I realized I was actually enjoying it. I was like, damn, I'm actually enjoying this. I wanted to slap her after that. But it is enjoyable. It's a fun thing to do. So give the name of your story so they know what to look for.
Soul paper.
Oh, this might be interesting. I haven't seen 37 yet. Like when we had 36 and 35 in here today, I've read those already. So I know, yeah. I just haven't had a chance to read them yet. I'm gonna get a couple to bring home with me too. 'Cause, I've already pre-ordered some 37s. I think I ordered about 30 of them, so we can give those away throughout December, which will be nice because we'll be having y'all on there so you can highlight your story. So this is the thing you can give away to apply because they're gonna get the book anyway, so because there's more than one story in there. But like I said earlier, when it comes to when you're doing media, and they're gonna try to get you, especially the bigger media, they're gonna try to get you to give it up. That's just they'll square. I call them square questions, but box you till you get kind of stuck. And I've told them before I was doing something. I just done a documentary for a TV thing. I was on ABC. They're doing this. I said, dude, I'm not going to tell you. I said, it does me no good to tell you. I want people to go buy it and watch it. I'm not telling you. I said, so you got to give it something. I said, I gave you everything I'm giving. I said, I'm going now. So he started talking about something else. But that's media's job. They're there to be a pain in the ass. That's why we're rewriting the way media should be. They should have respect for the authors and industries. It's not an easy thing to do it. So, 12 authors won, and how many get submitted? Put you in a good group, man, because there was a lot. Last time I talked to John, there was a lot. So, The fact that you won in that group says something right there. So, that's a big plus for you. So, you enjoy writing?
Yeah, I love it.
Is it like an escape or just something you want to do?
Maybe it is an escape. I hadn't really thought of it. It's just like you kind of get into a groove and I think there's also some pleasure in getting the story in the right way.
Right.
Yeah, just making sure the phrasing's just right.
Well, that makes sense to me because, for me, it's different. I mean, I don't do writing, but when we're doing media or when we're doing radio shows and stuff, especially if I'm going to do something that is a particular subject, I want it to come off a particular way. And I can get really bitchy about it, to be honest with you. But I want it, you're in the office, you understand what I mean. You want what you want. You want it, you're trying to portray something to somebody or to a group, and you want it to come from you. So you're going to be independent, freelancer, you're going to try to go corporate with your books, or I should say, with publishing companies, is what I should say. Or maybe a mix of two.
Yeah, I think I would want to do both. I've heard positive in both directions, so try them both out, see what seems to do the best.
Yeah, well, I tell people if you're going to submit to a publisher, just make your skin a little thicker. Because when you're doing independent, you're in complete control. When you get with a publisher, it's not quite the same. I had submitted something that I was doing a design for ABC, great video. They came back and they changed and they changed and they changed. And they finally told me, you know what, I'm not doing it. Well, yeah. I said, no, you're the guy. I said, I'm not doing it. I'll give you the money back. I'm not doing it. And they said, well, why? I said, because what you did, what I'm doing is entirely, you just changed too much. You're losing the point of what the story has put out there. So in the end, I was under contract, so they portrayed it as crappy. So then they decided to go with the original version, which went viral. And it just shows that they don't always know what the hell they're talking about. But that's what I mean. Have a thick skin. But I would do both. I really would until you feel comfortable with what you want. It's like anything. You have to build a clientele to be freelance. It takes a little while to do that. With authors, it's a little bit different. But even with authors, you're building up a following. I've talked to many authors over the years, and they do try to build up a following. And if you get 5, 6, 7 million people following, you're going to sell books. Even if they're crappy, you're still going to sell it. Now you might get a lot of feedback, but still, that's another thing what we're talking about. Best advice I can tell you is don't read your comments. Because what's going to happen is the good ones will be, hey, yeah, the bad ones are going to piss you off. And the first time I got a bad comment, I got an hand ripped up, poor guy from one end to the other end. It was, shitty on my part because he had no recourse. I'm on the air with 4 million people, and he stuck right to me, and he didn't. So I actually, when he came to my chat room, I actually apologized to him. He said, I said, no, you're expressing your view, which you have a right to do. I said, it was just my first negative comment, so I got a little, assy about it. I said, but really, no, I don't even care. I read the good ones, I read the bad ones sometimes, but they don't bother me. I'm just like, good or bad. I'm just like, yeah, that's great. We're getting comments, fine, and move on. And most of my hosts are that pretty good too, because you can't let it get under your skin. It's just a bad thing. So I mean, freelance and corporate, or I should say, publishing is a good way to go, because you can still sell. You can try freelance. If it doesn't do well, you can submit it to them. And there's other places you can submit it to as well. And don't forget, there's other countries you can submit to. There are a lot of other English-speaking countries. Somebody said, well, India don't speak the same language. No, most Indians speak English. And you'd be surprised how many Chinese speak English. I was surprised at how many Russians speak English. That floored me, because we have almost 4 million regular listeners over there, over 20 million combined. And I'm thinking, really? How do you know what the hell I'm saying? I've heard Russian before. I don't know what the hell they're saying. So it surprised me of how many people are actually. And I know that the English language is a generic language, but still, if I lived in a different country, I'd say, screw it, I'm not learning a damn language. I don't want to know that stuff. Hell, I barely speak English. We don't want to know that. So, everybody's been treating you good. You've been having a good time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
No, it's a excellent experience. I highly recommend it to anybody that wants to try it. And I don't know. It's just I've never ever experienced anything like it.
It's great. And
Yeah.
So when you heard blind judging, did you believe him?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, because a lot of people don't. And I didn't in the beginning, because I worked with a lot of publishing companies. And I was like, blind judging, what the hell is that? Which I thought was a great idea, mind you. But after a couple of interviews with John, I realized he's just a good guy. He's really in this to help people, which surprised me, because frankly, a lot of people I meet are in it for their own selves and not in it to help anybody except yourself. So it kind of caught me off guard. And then when I met Emily, she was the same way. And Emily came over and she's like lightning. And she'll come back on your ass quick too, because I caught her there a couple of times, because I know her pretty well now, so I'll tease her when they're on here. And she has no problem whooping you around real quick. So I like her for that. I seen her downstairs before I came up here. She said, I said, Emily, I knew you told me in the beginning we were going to see each other, because I knew you were going to be over there. And I said, but I've been immensely enjoying it, so I'm glad to hear you are too. You think they were fair in the way they do their judging and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a taste thing.
Yeah.
I feel ecstatic that I happen to be here.
Yeah, because there's some big names we're judging you.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
there's some serious names. I mean, we're gonna get to see Dune Saturday night. He's here. Ender's Games was here. Scott Cardinal. There's some great authors over there. Some powerful names out there. And that, I think, is one of the better things, that they take this much time out of their schedules to come spend a week with y'all to help you. I mean, I listened to a few of the courses. Only thing I was disappointed about is that they weren't being recorded. And we're going to change that for next year. Other than that, because I figured there was a lot of that material could help upcoming writers. You know, I know it's a thing to get everybody here, but still, it's if you want to get quality stuff out there, let these things go on there because there's a lot of stuff that could help upcoming writers. There's things that were being said that could really give them a different way. It's like when Dave and Mac was his name, they were arguing yesterday. I loved it. I mean, they weren't really arguing; they just disagreed on some stuff. It let people see two different sides. It let people understand that look, you know how you can go this road, you can that road, you can this road. And I think a lot of young authors or a lot of up and coming authors, I shouldn't say young, because a lot of people get into it at different ages, but I think it makes a difference for y'all. You know, that they want to pay attention. And again, you never know which one of these guys might down the line decide to take one of your books and take you for a road trip. And since we know a couple of these big books have been turned into movies, you never know where they're going. And let's be honest, we're in COVID time, so we are dying for new material. I got to be honest, I don't think you could have wanted a better time. Because with COVID, everybody's looking for stuff. You know, I've had 4 offers from Netflix to put shows of mine on their air and turn them into TV series. I'm like, I don't know. I have to think about it. We've had Hulu contacts. We have HBO contacts. That which is fine, but like when HBO contacts, they want to rewrite the whole show, but forget it. I said, actually, the host said, forget it. She's like, I'm not doing that. Because like with Michelle, she's already pretty famous on her own. She don't really need the help. She has a great audience. Everybody who's in the field, she's big. She knows personally. So it makes a difference. So that's like going to be you in a couple of years. You're going to know everybody. You know, you've already met some of the main people right here tonight, so you can't hardly this week. Been enjoying the lectures. I shouldn't call them lectures, but
Oh yeah.
because I've asked a couple people. Everybody's pretty much said they picked up something new or learned something out of it. And I was watching the artist today. I was like, the guy was talking about shadows. It was like Greek to me. Might as well be Greek. But for some reason, with a lot of the author stuff, I caught on to it and enjoyed listening to it. It was maybe it's because I'm interested in it, but it does. I'll still not gonna write anything I said they didn't believe it still. It's a great thing. So where do you think you're going? Where do you think you're going to be in 5 years?
Well, I'd like to have at least one book published. That'd be nice.
What were they talking about? The 520? Was it yesterday or the day before?
Oh yeah, that 20 books to
5 years.
50K, I think.
Yeah, and so the 20 books in 5 years, 50K. Look, it's been 10 years I've been trying to write a book, so it's a waste of time. Oh, how was the 24-hour book thing?
Oh. Well, I mean, it was quite
tough.
an experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was talking to a few. We were at the bar. I'm thinking, oh God, I hope you don't get bodies. Not the time for that. But it went okay for you. You think all right? I mean,
I mean, you know, for me, I think I'm not a fast writer, so this is something I slowly think about and kind of put together. Kind of like that story that I wrote. I wrote it, put it away for a year, came back to it.
Well, there's a lot of authors do that. I've met few of these. I mean, there's authors that I consider like professional authors. They're 9 to 5. They get up at 9, they lock their door, they go in their office, and they write. Granted, it's not always good books. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I know several of them who do this. Like Nick Wright, for instance, I think he's got like 120 books now. None of them are bestsellers, but they're good books, and they support him quite well. It's quite comfortable. But he does genre, he does like Bigfoot, UFOs, just a whole different realm of stuff that he's doing. He does a little research, but sometimes he'll produce a book a week. And I'm thinking, how good a book can it be if you produce it in a week? I don't want to judge because I'm not a writer, but just to me, it would seem like a good book might take a little bit longer. So, what do you want to write? Short stories, novels, both?
Yeah, both. I'm wanting to switch gears more towards the novels.
Yeah, might more money that way, but
might be.
yeah, I don't know really. Because I've heard people make a good living on short stories. I've heard people make novels. I know for some people they can bust out a few novels, but most of the bestsellers I've seen took a little while to write. They weren't overnight success, and they weren't 2 months down. The book was read. Some of these authors I've talked to spent a year, 2 years on a book, and they go through it now. I was listening to Dave. He said, don't recheck it. Let somebody else look at it, and it need to be changed. I don't know if that works for him. I don't know if that's going to work for everybody else. Everybody's got their own style. And I would imagine, like with you need to be comfortable with what you do. See, I could write, if I was uncomfortable, I'd be like, I couldn't even do radio if I was uncomfortable. When I get on the air, I want to be quite comfortable with what I'm doing. It's one of the reasons I can torture my guests because I'm very comfortable with what I'm doing. And I have a really good education, which doesn't hurt me anyway. And that's something else I noticed. So I've talked with everybody from high school dropout to master's degrees, and they all seem to be, when it comes to the writing aspect, they all kind of seem to be in the same level. So I've been telling people, because, I had a guy call into a show a couple of weeks back. He said, well, I dropped out of high school at 9th grade. And he said, I got a good career and all. I said, I learned how to do it. He said, but I really want to write. I said, well, write. He said, what do you mean? I said, go over to Write in the Future, take their course, learn how to write. I said, if you don't do it, you don't submit it, there's no way you're going to find that if you can. So, and for a lot of these guys, like I said, ego boost, it helps. Maybe it's an affirmation that they actually can write, which is a good thing. And there's some of the other ones, some of them got a few book sales to their credit now, but this is really, so now when you write a book and you submit, you can say, yeah, I want it, Writers in the Future. It does carry weight with a lot of publishing companies. I was actually surprised how many were quite familiar with L. Ron Hubbard stuff. So that's a good thing for y'all. I mean, that's a good way to go. I really look forward to everybody's book. I'm going to read your story. Hopefully, I'll get the book before y'all get on, so I can read through the stories and go through them and tell y'all what I think. I know they're good already because they wouldn't have made. I mean, when you look at the judges, these guys are not slacking judges. So I mean, I already know the stories are going to be good. I think that's one of the reasons it sells as well as it does. Yeah, we push the hell out of it. But I do plan on giving away 100 of this year. I've already given away 36 a few times. I've been buying packages. They have like 5-book packages, so I just buy them. After I read them, I give away, and then I buy more and give away. Or they send us some from time to time and stuff like that. If you ever get bored, get you one of these from L. Ron Hubbard's group. There's $4,000 worth of stories in here. John sent it to me. It's got all the collected work of L. Ron Hubbard, everything's ever done. Half's in audio, half's in writing. They got all the. This is weird for me too, because I was listening to them speak about artwork the other day, stories. So on L. Ron stuff, let me see if I can find it. His let's just read this. Let's see if I can find what I want to show you. Oh Lord, I this book that I read already. Damn. Apparently I've been reading. I hated reading most of school. I did it because I had to have grades. I mean, how can I get reading this? Stupid ass book. Go back to it. It's not going to let me go back, is it? Sorry, man, I wanted to show you this, but I guess it's not going to cooperate. Do it like that, do it like that. Okay, I don't know what this is at all. What the hell is this? Okay, well, I guess we're not going to do that. My pad is being weird. But, and see, this is all audio stuff. Now, I'll let you take a look at it. Just go through it. The reason I'm bringing this up is I heard a couple of them say, and maybe you should do your own artwork that you want to give away what? L. Ron Hubbard's covers are designed to tell you what the story is about. Now, granted, you can't get the whole story out of a picture, but the cover is supposed to give you a good idea. He was a very successful writer, so I was kind of, when I first heard that yesterday, it's kind of like, well, I know several writers who put on covers that really give you a gist of what the story is. So it might be something to think about. I mean, he was a very successful writer. He's got, God knows how many books to his credit. Still, like Battlefield Earth cracks me up. 100,000 word book. I'm thinking, what was he, a crack when you wrote that damn thing? And what's sad is the book is so much better than the movies. I mean, it's just a sad thing. Now, Mission Earth's coming out. I got it on here, so I'm listening to it. It's another good story. So, but for me, I think that a cover that's suggestive of the story is a better way to go. So, what did you think about the artist who did your cover? Let me say, what do you think about the cover being better? That question.
Yeah, no,
because not everybody was happy. By the way.
Oh, with their art?
Yeah. I don't want to say that's it was a wrong way of saying that. It's not that they weren't happy. They thought, because I asked some of the artists if they thought they fulfilled the story. Some of the artists said they probably should have made a few other changes. So it's not a right word saying they were unhappy. I guess they thought later on that maybe they should have done it. So, how was your cover?
The illustration with my story. Oh my gosh, yeah. I looked at that and I was like, I didn't cry, but I felt like crying because it
That's
was.
good. I'm glad to hear that. No,
yeah.
I'm really glad to hear that.
She did her own. She captured the story, that kind of critical moment, and then she put her own, her own self into it, and I thought that was pretty awesome.
See, what's great about that is now you know these illustrators in the future, so it's contacted because they're going to be looking for work, and they're not going to be high dollar like a lot of these other people because they're still developing clients themselves. That's one of the things. I think one of the nice things having y'all both here. I had two of the illustrators told me they want to write children's books, and which is big money in children's books. I could personally do it. And I was telling them, so we got to be careful when you're doing artwork for children. It can't be suggestive of anything, especially in today's society, man. Lord have mercy, they might string you up somewhere. So, I mean, did you have a favorite speaker while you were here, or just in general you liked them all? Or?
Oh yeah, I mean each of them has something. Yeah, that you can take away from.
I know. I was impressed because I was sitting there listening to several of them. I'm thinking, damn, I've learned more about writing in the last 10 days than I have in the last 30 years, which is, the last 2 days in the last 30 years. I mean, it's true for me. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I've heard. So I'm still not going to write a book, but still, it's. I was quite impressed with their talks, and I think a lot about that. And then, which one was it? Nevin? He was the older guy. He was cracking me up. I was making him nervous for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He didn't know who I was, and I was all over the place. So it kind of made me a little on the nervous side. And I told him, I came by with about the fifth time. I said, don't worry about me. I'm just pressed. And then after that, he kind of relaxed. Yeah, he just knew me from being. I'm running around like a crazy person. And we're all over the place. And one of them like, well, you act like young ones. I said, I'm here for press. Of course I do. I'm in the place. As long as I'm here working press, that's what I'm here for. But speaking on that note, so sometime in the next 2 weeks, you'll get a code. And what it's for is it's to go in and look at all the photos. Because I want y'all to pick the photos you want to use. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put the archive. When we do full archive, we'll have the little one in the full archive, along with a picture of you and along with a picture of the artwork. So I want y'all to be happy with the photos we took. Because if not, we can always take a snapshot when we have you on the air. So we have really good quality when we're doing like this. It's a little hard here, but when we're regular, it's pretty easy. So I want y'all just to see it too. You can look at everybody else's. Because Sarah cracks me up. She was doing something, helping somebody, and I just caught her there right at the moment. I snapped a picture. She's like, she's seen it. She's like, I want everybody to be happy with it. There's a lot of pictures too, but there's two of y'all standing together and stuff like that. I don't know which ones are which because currently there's 2,600. I had to actually delete 40 gigs of crap out of my cell phone today because I was out of memory. And I got a good, so I've been selling with about a 25 gig camera, so it's pretty good. But if I know I was going to be taking some pictures, I'd bought my real camera with me. I got a nice 35 millimeter, would have been perfect for this. And if I knew they wanted to be recording, I would have brought all my recording equipment because I can set up one downstairs and one upstairs. And the reason why for me is I want everything recorded, but I noticed some of the speakers were not upstairs. Upstairs had good acoustics, but downstairs some of the speakers were very quiet. And you want to get across. I'm not sure. And I could tell too because when I looked, I was sitting in the back where I could see down. And 4 or 5 people listening were playing video games while they were listening, so they weren't really listening. I didn't really see that with the authors because it was a more pronounced. You could really understand what they were saying. For some reason downstairs it was, and 2 of the guys were very mousy the way they spoke. Great artists. I won't take anyway from their artwork. When you're speaking to a crowd, you have to project and you have to be forceful with the way you speak, or people might annoy you. And the more you get in, the more press you do, the more you'll learn that just say what you want to say, and if you're not happy, you can always cut off a conversation. And you can always say, what, I've had enough. And I've had authors, not to me, but I've had authors tell other people, that's enough, I'm out of here. And after pushing questions that makes you feel uncomfortable about your novel, move on. Say, nice, thanks for the offer, but I've got a plan, I gotta go. And that way you're not really offended anybody. I'm sure they'll get aggravated, but in the end, it's about you. It's not about them. So just remember that. And John, I want to make sure I'm getting that across to everybody because it really is more about y'all. It's your novel, it's your book, it's your story. And if they want to give you shit about it, adios amigos. There's so much media out there. Podcasts alone, there's over 3 million out there. So, I mean, I told a friend of mine the other day who's writing short stories. I said, you know what? Go find about 2,000 podcasts, go to each one, no matter what, you're going to at least sell 2,000 or 3,000 books. And he did 500 of them and sold 16,000 books. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work, but still 16,000 books and about 18,000 books is not bad. And he self-published like you're talking about, so nobody got a cut. Amazon got whatever little percentage they get. That was it. I did notice that some of these companies really, on first or second books, they screw you hard. I know. I'm not going to say the name of the publisher because it's going to be. So a friend published a book, first book he ever published. They took 78%. He had measly 22% of his own work. The next book they took about 65%. Now they take about 15% and he gets the rest. But still, that's enough to make him almost stop writing. It's like, well, why am I doing this if they're taking all my damn money? And one of them got made in part of a little miniseries. And they tried to jack him on that. He's like, oh no, he got a movie over that one. He said, oh, no, we're not gonna have this. But that stuff too, remember, as an author, when you're doing stories and you submit them, you can always submit them to places like Netflix, Hulu, HBO, because if it's a good story, they can pick it up. I got a friend that does. He writes episodes basically. He's a professional writer, but he'll write an episode of whatever he happens to be watching. He will send them to him. Right now, 82% of his episodes have been published. He's written for Star Trek. He's written for all kinds of people. He's written for things I've never even heard of. And it does well. So it's another venue you can go. But anywhere they can find you, contact you, how to get hold to you.
I mean, I've got a blog, although it's more critical. I just look at different books that I liked or didn't like. Or movies, and just talk about them.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. What you need to do is I guess you could set up an Instagram or Facebook page. Or there's a lot of free one-page websites like GoDaddy. If you buy a domain, they'll give you a free one-page website. The reason why, as I say that, is some places you're going to speak in the future are going to want you to have a website, or at least have somewhere where they can go see who you really are.
Yeah.
So it's nothing you got to worry about now, but as you progress along, it might be. And sometimes publishing companies want you to have them so that they can keep tabs on it. The only downside to this is like Facebook and Instagram. I haven't made them, and I say shit that I shouldn't have. So that can slap me around sometimes. Somebody will go listen. I was actually turned down. I was offered a gig in Miami, and they wouldn't read my Facebook page, and then they retracted it again. So I called him and asked him why. He said, well, you're kind of controversial. So I thought that's why you were bringing me. I said, I'm confused, man. Why would you even contact me if you didn't want me to be controversial? So that's the whole thing I do. And then 2 weeks later, they called me and asked me if I could please come down. So it was a whole weird thing. So I tell people all the time, what I would, set you something up that's just going to be for your stuff and nothing else. Because people do sometimes get big mouth on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere like that. What happens to a lot of authors and a lot of illustrators, they get friends on these pages and they start talking. Sometimes the content is not something the publishing company wants to see. It's unfortunate these days, but everybody's become kind of bland and generic. They don't want you to be controversial too much. They don't mind if your book is, as long as it's not controversial in any of these social issues today, which is crazy. I wouldn't think they'd want it to be that way. To me, I think we'd sell more books. But again, I'm not a publisher, so I just think it'd sell more. So, any short stories for planned for the near future? Well, let me rephrase it. So you see, that's another thing that cracked me up about these guys. You get to keep your story. Most people, when you submit the story, it belongs to them. Even if you win, it still belongs to them. Any plans on maybe submitting it some other places?
Oh yeah. I probably should submit more than I do, but yeah, I need to be getting on the ball here. I do submit, but
and remember, you can submit in Aussie land, you can submit in the UK, any of the English-speaking countries, you can submit there. And there's a place I can't honestly remember, but there's a place you can go to submit to like multiple companies at the same time. It's getting weird now how everything is, one thing leads to another. All of my primary radio archive sites go out to at least 10 other sites on their own. They publish on all these companies. I was finding when I found we had Pod Addict and Spotify, that was all being sent out. We weren't going there doing it. The other archive places were sending them which was cool. It's a nice way to do it. I'm seeing more and more of that stuff happen for authors where they can submit in one place. And Amazon's always going to be great because Amazon's massive. The only downside to Amazon is there's 5 million authors on there. So you always got to do something that makes you stand out. Or in this case, getting out in the public a lot, and speaking a lot, that can do it for you. You get enough interviews, you get enough sales. Because what happens is when you get enough sales, other companies become interested in it. Other bigger radio networks will become interested in it. There's no big podcast network than us, but there's a lot of other big FM stations than us. And FM's always a good thing to do. So what you might want to do, now that you're an author, I'll tell you a little trick you get on Coast to Coast with your book, okay, on your story. So find about 50 or 60 friends. I did it with 100 because I had an audience. I had them send it in. Just have them send it in to Lisa Lyon, address it to attention Lisa Lyon, and tell them they would like to hear you. If more than 50 people write it, they'll probably call you within 2 days. They'll probably have you within a week. They have a massive audience. And so that's just another way to get the book out there. And the more of these places you go, the more likely you're going to sell sales. So, if you might not be able to directly sell them and get big money, but if you know how much you're going to charge for your book and you know you're going to hit 50, 80, 100 different radio and TV shows, they don't, today, in the old days, you had to do big ones. You don't have to do that, because each one has their own audience. There's a lot of podcasts out there with 50, 60, 70,000 listeners. There's lots of them. So, each one could be anywhere from a book to 500 to 1,000 books or more. So that's always a good thing to do. I don't know how y'all are going to box up the short stories right now. Nobody's told me. I know they're going to be 37, but I don't know if you're going to make it something separate. Outside of 37, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean like
just the story
reprinting
itself.
it?
Yeah, reprinting the story itself.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible. You just have to shop it around just like you would any other story.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You get a lot of radio shows with just that. You don't have to. I mean, you can push the writers in the future, but you really want to be pushing the story as well. So, and there are literally, and I tell this to authors all the time. Everybody's looking for guests. Everybody. Especially when there's 3 million podcasts, they are thriving, starving for guests. Fortunately for me, I've been around long enough that the guests call me. But there are shows that can't. I'm having trouble getting guests, especially right now. It's just a good time to get out. You do a little preview of the book, send it out to different podcasts, and see what they do. And once we get all y'all on the 2-hour podcast, we'll start letting people know y'all around, so it'll make it easier too to get out there. And once you've been on 1 or 2 of decent sized networks, everybody wants to get you anyway. You'll start getting calls from this one, that one. Let me come on. Let me see that. And on a side note, and I forgot to tell Luke this, but on my United Public Radio, UFO Paranormal Radio Facebook page, it's public. We allow everyone. If you've interviewed by us, we allow you to publish there. So you can go there one afternoon and just publish the name of the book or the title or whatever, or you 37 say, come read this book. It doesn't matter, but you can publish there. And I tell everybody to take advantage of it. That one page has 80,000 followers on it. Across my 14 Facebook pages, we got over more than 500,000. So it's just a good place to publish. It's easy to do. Just type it in, load a picture, and it's done. And if anybody gives you trouble, you just tell them that you've got your writers of the future. They won't bother you anymore. The admins won't bother you probably anyway, because they'll probably figure when they see you. But just in case, I tell everybody just to tell them that you know me. Yeah, they'll leave you alone because this guy never asked. And I will tell them. Any immediate plans?
For writing?
Yeah,
or
for writing. Yeah.
just get back in and write?
Yeah.
Yep, keep working.
Yeah,
Working on a novel. But,
Do you have a particular genre you want to write in?
I like quite a few of them actually.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
better, actually. That'll make you more marketable because sometimes people get stuck in one genre and they can't get out. Or like, I know this guy started writing Bigfoot stories where he's stuck. That's the only thing he didn't sell. He writes all kind of stuff, but for some reason, I guess he's known for Bigfoot. That's all they want to hear out of him. I said, man, why did you mix them up in the beginning? He said, because they were selling, man. They were selling. I was like, I understand that, I guess. But I agree that multiple genres is the right way to go. It's like I was saying earlier with him, so much crap, excuse me, gets shoved under the paranormal term, And for us, for the network, we don't exactly consider paranormal because a lot of our hosts experience stuff like that, so it's just normal for the that work. But, and that's what sci-fi, anything can be freaking sci-fi. Horror sci-fi, funny sci-fi, space sci-fi, underground sci-fi, back to the future sci-fi can be anything. I have noticed it's not, I don't know if you would write this, but I have been seeing a lot of time travel stories.
Oh yeah, it's real big.
Yeah, and I guess there's a lot of ways you can go with that. I guess I'm gonna let you get out of here because I know it's getting late and I know y'all got a lot to do tomorrow. You ready for the gala? You ready to go?
Oh yeah. Well, no. I've got some. I need to work on my speechifying.
Oh yeah, I remember when. It's funny you said that because for my People's Choice, when I got nominated to make the second tier, they wrote to us and all said, "Do you acceptance me?" And I wrote back and said, "Why? I haven't won." He said, "That's why. If you don't have it by the 24th, you can't." I was like, "Oh shit!" So I made myself crazy for a week, and then I just sat down in front of the computer and said, "You know what? Just talk." So I talked to. I thanked everybody who was involved. I thanked the People's Choice. I got an honorable mention with them, so I'm happy about that. But that was a science show. And politics show didn't do that well, but some of our other shows did pretty good. Riders of the Futures was up for the award as well. And John wasn't happy he didn't make the second tier. I said, I was picking on it. He said, nah. But all that stuff, and that's also places you can submit to. And don't forget audiobooks. When you get into this and you start going along, right now, I wouldn't say it's 50-50, but it's about 40-60. A lot of people want audiobooks. Especially people like me, because it's just easier. My attention span for reading is this long. I'll get into it and something will happen and I'll just quit. But when I have audio going on, even if I get sidetracked, I'm still listening to it. I'll put an earbud in or if I'm driving, I'll listen to it that way. So more and more Americans are listening to it. Oh, excuse me. When they're driving. And instead of listening to music, they're listening to this. And you listen to talk radio today, it's all politics, and you want to jump out of your car and commit suicide after an hour. So these stories are great. So just something to think about. And I don't know if it's Amazon or one of the other companies will convert it pretty cheaply. It's not really expensive. And I know some of them will allow you to do either one. You can publish this way. In other words, they don't actually print it out until somebody buys it. So then they'll cut it in the audio, they'll cut the book out and publish it that way. So just another thing to think about. I was watching, people get stupid sometimes when they will charge $1.99. I'm like, okay, maybe if you don't know anything, or I tell them, I learned this a long time ago. We used to give a lot of stuff away for free. Organization, we do a lot of stuff for free, is what I should say. And it hurt us because people don't give you enough credit when you're giving it. They think there's something wrong or some catch. So when I started charging, the higher it went up, the more credit they thought I had. The more credit they gave me is what I should say. So a friend of mine proved this to a friend of mine. He was selling his books at $1.99. I said, bump up to $10. He started selling books. He said, why? I said, because $1.99, they don't think it's worth reading or listening to. They're confused, And when things are that cheap, they're like, besides, it kind of down makes yourself. You're saying, well, I'm only worth $1.99. That's bullshit. Any author that can produce a book is worth more than any way it goes. And you want that. You want. Rich and famous or whatever, it would be nice to make a living off of. And if you hit it big, look, I'll be calling you, buddy. I know you, man. What's up, man? How you been? I said, can I come to your gala? Come to your award ceremony and hang out. We're trying to let you get out of here because I know you got to get the going. I know it's what. Oh shit, it's already. Oh, just one time. Oh no, it is 11. Shit. Excuse my